It's new for 2020.
This is the MikeDJKelly Podcast.
Sounding snazzy.
This is the Mike Kelly Podcast.
Mike Kelly.
Okay, kids, let's go for it. Still in month 2, and that special 29th day, only available every 4 years, still to come. How are you going to use yours?
On this week's podcast.
So here it is, time for the latest, new, improved, bigger and better, creaking at the edges, just waiting to be heard, short of a short, shabby Mike DJ Kelly podcast show, which we insist you should tell your friends about. Climb on board as we leap into another low-budget, recorded in the front room, action-packed audio adventure featuring competitions, radio, TV, cruise ships, Zip, Twitter, Albatross, Spice, DVLA, Eggs, Baroness Morgan of Cotes, and a whole lot more.
This is the Mike Kelly Podcast.
Lots of interesting stuff on Twitter at the moment. Here's a tweet from Craig Smith. First IKEA to close in the UK. Don't need that fancy foreign furniture in Brexit Britain anyway. We'll use old crates and stuff from the tips. And from David Osland. I'm so old I remember when the idea that the rich should pay a higher rate of tax on the impeccably logical ground that they have more money was everyday common sense accepted by all major parties.
Is that true?
Driving to work on a cold, wet, dark Sunday morning at 5 a.m. So what's on the car radio at that time? Nothing. I'm in a radio wilderness. Well, when I say nothing, on 5 Live, there was a guy talking about the efficiency of wind turbo generators and how blade shapes and heights can improve efficiency. On Talk was a guy talking about those who voted for Brexit and those who did not. Oh, and on Radio 2, a lady saying she could not believe how long January had been and why it had taken so long to get to February. As I say, radio wilderness.
This is the short of the short Mike Kelly Podcast.
On the telly, good fun on the chase the other day when Dan, Jane and Rob won £32,000. Dan had promised to take all the staff at his Doncaster pub to Benidorm if he won. Ended up with Jane, Rob and Bradley saying they were going to go to Benidorm as well.
On this week's podcast.
Competition time, but no prizes. Who had a hit with the song containing these lines? Don't you throw my pride aside. Besides, what's real and make-believe? Baby Jane's in Acapulco. We are flying down to Rio. Those lines again. Don't you throw my pride aside. Besides, what's real and make-believe? Baby Jane's in Acapulco. We are flying down to Rio. Name the song or the artiste. On the way to the dentist, and the government propaganda advert about the DVLA keeps playing, saying the DVLA is around every corner and will catch you if you have an untaxed vehicle. What they should do is invent some sort of scheme whereby when you pay your license you get some sort of sticker to display in your windscreen. Then we'd know who has and who has not paid. You never hear the name of the clown responsible for ending the displaying of a tax disc, but The Guardian did say this in 2015. The Driver and Vehicle Licensing Agency, DVLA, ended the need for drivers to display a valid tax disc in October 2014, saying that the move would save the taxpayer £10 million a year by making the system more efficient. However, that decision looks to have backfired after official figures show that the Exchequer has lost as much as 8 times the intended saving. Oh, and the dentist, a painful reminder of the time while on job seekers allowance that I got fined £100 for having a free dental treatment, as I presumed a non-earner on JSA would be able to. Now, in the surgery, surrounded by posters warning you not to claim and that you can be fined £100 if you're on the wrong sort of allowance. The poster states 428,000 were fined £100 last year for illegally claiming free dental care. That's a nice little earner, isn't it? £42 million plus.
This is the Mike Kelly Podcast.
Watching the TV and French kissing is becoming the norm. A peck on both cheeks as you meet and greet someone. They do it on Come Dine With Me and 4 in a Bed. Some of the soaps now do it. Mind you, I suppose it's taken a while coming. Debbie Harry first noticed it in the USA in 1986.
It's new for 2020.
On adverts on TV, I think Jackpot Joy has to be the pits, and the Expedia advert with the lady in the bath with the dog watching, holding a mobile and booking a family holiday on the phone, amazingly stupid. But it brings back the old argument of how many things is TV responsible for. All the violent crime you see, bad family behaviour, drugs, etc. They used to produce stats of how many deaths a 5-year-old would have seen on TV. I've not seen any of these recently. The other night before Emmerdale, the announcer said, contains scenes some viewers might find upsetting. I wonder why they only say this occasionally, as I find it upsetting on a daily basis.
Golly gosh.
Remember a few years ago, and you'd go to places like Covent Garden and see human statues, people looking ornate and stood by doorways, giving the occasional smile or sudden movement to catch you out. Then it moved out to the cities, and you would have street entertainers in most places playing at statues. I have to say that I think the market's now gone, as there are so many people in every town and city taking spice and standing around like frozen statues.
Is that true?
If you want to get in touch about anything to do with the Shorter Than Short podcast show, please use either of the following to contact us. Or if you want to send your own stories for the next episode, email cuttings or sound clips to email hello@MikeDJKelly.co.uk or on Twitter @MikeKellyDisco. If you want to be alerted to future podcasts, give a wave to Mike DJ Kelly Podcast on Messenger.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly Podcast.
Interesting point from Claire Kearns on Twitter. Why do so many of my clothes fasten at the back or the side? It's bonkers. I can't think of any men's everyday wear that fastens beyond reach. Why the rude word bras? If more women manufactured them, they would front fasten. What possible reason is there for a back fasten? I'm no expert and a bit stupid. But could it be that it goes back to the days of servants dressing females and tying and fastening corsets and such from behind? And maybe with the men's clothes, men did design them and put the zip in the correct place. Today's do-gooders are the Big Issue Foundation at bigissue.org.uk. What do they do? The Big Issue Foundation supports vendors to achieve financial stability through their magazine sales, whilst helping them to overcome social exclusions that have previously held them back. We achieve this through a model of service brokerage. Our frontline workers, service brokers, are trained to accurately identify the needs of a big issue vendor and provide expert information, advice and guidance best able to address those needs. They do this by accessing local services, maintaining support networks and preventing big issue vendors falling through the gaps in society across 9 core areas. They help with personal sales goals, housing, finance, obtaining ID, health and well-being, addiction treatment, employment, education and personal aspirations. Find out more on how you can become involved at the Big Issue Foundation at bigissue.org.uk.
It's new for 2020.
Johnny Vegas tweeted, "Happy 80th birthday to the Governor, Sir David Jason. Still giving his all and teaching us young upstarts more than a thing or two about the craft we call comedy. Raising a pina colada in your honour, Squire. Well, Guinness with a mini brolly in it. Cheers and good health." Not such good news. Christopher Nicholas Parsons, CBE, born 10th of October 1923, who passed away the 28th of January this year, was an English actor and radio and TV presenter. He was a long-running presenter of the comedy radio show Just a Minute on Radio 4 and host of the game show Sale of the Century during the 1970s and early 80s, and so much more. Many people are saying how much they like and now miss Alistair Stewart from the ITV News. Many asking, was he pushed?
This is the Mike Kelly Podcast.
Guess the celebrity, born the 27th of February 1957. He is an English character actor and occasional presenter. He became a household name in the UK after appearing as Barry Spencer Taylor in the 1983 ITV comedy drama series Our Wiedersehen Pet. He received critical acclaim for his performance in Secret and Lies in 1996, for which he was nominated for the BAFTA Award for Best Actor in a Leading Role. Subsequently, he starred in many films including Hamlet, Nicholas Nickleby, Enchanted, The Damned United, The King's Speech, Ginger and Rosa, Denial, and The Party. He also gained international acclaim for his role as Peter Pettigrew in the Harry Potter films. Who is he?
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly Podcast.
Scary moment the other day while walking Winston the German Shepherd to notice his lead had become detached and he was walking on without being attached to me. I know if he spotted this, he would be off. I said his name nicely and he turned to me and I caught his collar. What luck, but a bit of an awkward walk back to the car just holding his collar. So the big debate on the Full English on Union Jack Radio was, should eggs be kept in the fridge? The answer, my friends, is yes to cream eggs, but no to UK fresh eggs. In the UK, eggs can be kept on shelves or in cupboards like they do at the supermarkets. In America, eggs are washed before they are sold, which removes some of the protective membrane, so they need to be kept in a fridge. I think those guys who advertise Medifax type products should advertise Viagra. They could make it so much more exciting. The wife has just told me her 80-year-old mum is having some work done downstairs. It was only at the last minute, she added, in the front room. I was in a totally different zone up until then.
Is that true?
Peter Zanzotera on Twitter said, "What exactly is public about public transport? Buses are privately owned and run for profit, and they don't really serve the public need. Sure, the public use them in diminishing numbers, but they're about as public as taxis, except that goes exactly where you want." My friend David Clark said on Twitter, "Let's be clear, what's this becoming together narrative all about? Brexiteers are terrified of taking responsibility for what they've done, so they want to share the load. It's not going to happen. There will be accountability." Finally, Twitter comment from Kate Lister. "I like my bikini waxer. She gives me a sweet and a I've been brave sticker afterwards."
It's new for 2020.
It looks like illegal fishing boats from sub-Antarctic Isles to the Pacific Ocean will be caught by a new crack team of tagged Albatross, who tend to follow fishing boats. This data will also be followed by French and New Zealand officials who have tagged nearly 200 birds. Not a good time to go on a cruise holiday with coronavirus around. One ship with 3,000 people on board have resulted in passengers being quarantined in their cabins.
Golly gosh.
Back to the adverts. Is there ever a day that there is not a sale on at SCS? You must be the most unlucky person in the world if you go to shop at that shop on the day when they do not have a sale. Are funeral plans a modern day invention? I do not remember them in my parents' days. I remember rent collectors, milkmen and pools collectors, but no funeral schemes. Yes, people called for payments. People got paid in cash for working, and banks had not invented credit cards and direct debits. So no licence fee for the services from the BBC in the future, according to Baroness Morgan of Cotes. From where I'm sitting, the future does not look particularly bright. Too many senior managers and broadcasters mixing with the Tufton Street crowd reminds me of the government versus the miners. Look where they are now.
This is the Mike Kelly Podcast.
If you want to get in touch with this top-rated, much-listened-to podcast, please contact email hello@MikeDJKelly.co.uk, on Twitter @MikeKellyDisco. Indeed, if you want a podcast making for your business or need any help with radio producer or presentation work, please get in touch. You can always find the Mike DJ Kelly Podcast by going to iTunes and Spotify and searching Mike DJ Kelly, or you could send a text to your friends and warn them about the Shorter Than Short podcast. Quotes and cuts of this show may be used, but remember all material is copyrighted to the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short Podcast Pension Fund, and money should be sent directly to me without the use of any third parties. Full UK taxes will be paid on all money sent in brown paper envelopes and given as gifts. Oh, And a couple of late arrivals on Twitter. Kirsty Mitchell says, Ilkley Bowling Club are holding a vote to admit women as members for the first time since the 1920s. Fern Britton said, after more than 20 happy years, Phil and I have decided to go our separate ways. We will always share a great friendship and our lovely children. We would appreciate if our privacy is respected at this time. Thank you for your continued kindness and support. Seems a bit strange, a public message for privacy. Why not keep quiet about it?
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly Podcast.
Okay, time to go. Guess the celebrity, born 27th of February 1957. He is an English character actor and occasional presenter. He became a household name in the UK after appearing as Barry Spencer Taylor in the 1983 ITV comedy series drama Auf Wiedersehen Pet. He also gained international acclaim for his role as Peter Pettigrew in the Harry Potter films. Who is he? Timothy Leonard Spall. What song are these lines from? Don't you throw my pride aside. Besides, what's real and make-believe? Baby Jane's in Acapulco. We're flying down to Rio. It was Roxy Music, Virginia playing. That's enough for this edition of the crazy Shorter Than Short Shabby podcast show. From me, Mike Kelly, thank you for listening. And remember, you can always find the podcast by searching or shouting Mike DJ Kelly Podcast.
It's new for 2020.
This is the Mike DJ Kelly Podcast.
Sound excited.
This is the Mike Kelly Podcast.
Mike Kelly.